Tadpole here with Marloes Coenen following her victory at Dream18 New Year's event. How do you feel following your victory?
Oh, I feel like it's a happy new year.
You hit her with a knee down the middle that it seemed to stagger her and take her out of place. Did you feel that was the changing moment of the fight?
Well, I do feel my knees right now. They're pretty sore from all the kneeing, but yeah, I felt the low kicks were very hard to her because I saw the reaction of her. But actually, when I'm fighting, I don't remember a lot. So I do remember I kneed her to the head, and we went to the ground, and that was a hard knee for her. And but at a certain point, I believe I was also kneeing her on the head on the ground. And I thought the referee would stop it, but he didn't. And she kept on going, and I ended up again in armor.
There was a moment actually just a few minutes ago when I was walking down the hallway. She was walking out with an ice pack on her head, and she goes, "I look like a Klingon," and she pulled the ice pack off.
Klingon?
It's from Star Trek or Star Wars or one of those. And her forehead, it's like she just had a big knot on it, and I saw it during the fight because when you hit her, her eyes just rolled back in the back of her head. But she noticed it too. That was the end of the fight.
Yeah.
So once again, you rolled to the ground after the strikes, the knees, followed with a couple of hard hands. Do you try and keep it on the feet because you always end up in a submission, but it always looks like you're about to finish?
No, but I always wanna. This time I'm gonna knock her out in the first round. We really train a lot of things, and then somehow I end up on the ground again and submit her. You know, it's like, but I feel also comfortable on the ground. You know, I've submitted, but again, it's on an armbar. It's always an armbar. But well, I won, and I did. At least the stand-up was good today, so I'm happy about that, and that gives me confidence. And I know I can knock someone out. I have hard punches, and I have hard knees, and I have a submission or two. So.
I want to go back to your striking, but first, since you're talking about arm bars, there's Ronda Rousey right now getting signed with the UFC. How do you think that's going to change the landscape for women's MMA?
I think it's a good thing that UFC finally let women fight in for their brand. But I'm signed by Invicta, and I will be fighting there as long as my contract is valid. So for me, it hasn't that much influence right now. And second, I want to see Ronda because I saw the last time doing the interview, she was quite blown up. And I don't know if she can manage the 135. So I'm very curious if she comes to the 145. And I know she's kind of scared of Cyborg, and she was ducking her, and because she was playing judo at 155,
right.
Ended up in Strikeforce 145, and then they offered her a fight to fight Cyborg, bam, 135. That isn't real fighting to me, you know. If you're a real fighter, you stand up to Cyborg, and you know, you take your chance. But she's I mean, Ronda's good. I mean, the way she took Sarah Kaufman, it took me 3 rounds, and she took her in the first round. But I also feel like a lot of people are now afraid of her arm bars. It was just like when, what's the big man in K1? Oh, you know him, the big black dude.
Bob Sapp.
Yeah. In the beginning, everybody was afraid of
Right.
him until somebody found his weakness, and then he was all gone.
His chin.
Yeah, exactly. And his heart. He has no
Yeah.
heart. And I feel with Ronda, it's the same thing. If she cannot rush you against the cage and you keep it in the middle and you just beat up her, bang over her head, then I think it's a whole different game.
And this is your second fight, I believe, back at 145.
Yeah.
Do you feel a lot more comfortable and?
No, I'm willing to go to 135, but they will have to pay me a lot of money because I hate dieting. I mean, it's really, and I lose a lot of muscles as well.
Right.
So for me, I'm more natural 145 than I am a 130.
To me, your striking look like crisp, very clean. Whether your hands, your knees, and your leg kicks as well. Do you think having the advantage of a proper diet and not having to cut weight helps your power and your striking?
Yeah, definitely. I'm feeling like the last time when I was fighting Misha, I was feigning all week prior to the fight, and then I was in the cage and I was sitting there like. But looking back on it, it wasn't just a dieting. I did a lot of traveling that year, and I didn't recover, and I didn't take good care of myself, and it paid off. You know, it was in the cage, like, and it wasn't good.
To me, I think the UFC signing women is a great thing, but what Invicta is doing, I think,
is amazing.
I think that kind of started what the UFC, because they're like, oh crap, someone's coming and this is what should be done.
Yeah, exactly. And Shannon Knapp, she worked for
Incredible.
all the
She works
for all the big companies. She really knows what she's doing. Janet is amazing. She's so sincere. And what I think the difference between Invicta and UFC is that the people behind Invicta really care for the females.
Yeah.
And with UFC, it's more of a you know, they saw the marketability of Ronda, and all of a sudden she gets, you know, they're building the whole division around her. It's not like they're gonna say like, oh, we put the 145 also in the UFC. No, it's about Ronda, and she can pick girls, and she can fight the girls. And
if she eventually loses, you think the UFC women's
I don't think she
division
loses
goes
because they will give her girls she can beat. And she will never go unless she gets too fat. But otherwise, I don't think she wants to face me at 145, and she doesn't want to face Cyborg at 145.
I'd love to see you and Cyborg again.
I know that will happen.
That's a fight. Do you think Invicta can make that happen, or because Cyborg's under Zuffa?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that will happen.
I hope it does.
But you know, you never know what happens in. But it will happen somewhere, because maybe it will be in Japan here.
Speaking of Japan, you're back here. Your first ever fight was in Japan, I believe.
Yeah. I had two.
A few years ago.
Yeah, I'm old.
Yeah.
No, I had 2 amateur fights, and then they invited me to Japan. And I was already on cage rules with elbows and headbutts, and I didn't know that. I arrived, and then I really beat up that girl, and then they invited me back within a week, and I didn't want to go. And my trainer said, "You have to go." I said, "I'm sick, I'm tired, I don't want to go." But he told me I had to go, and I won the tournament, and then that's when my life changed, and I won my first title in Japan, and it feels like coming home. But my second title won in America, and I really love that country too, but for different reasons, but it's also really in my heart.
Completely sidetracked. What were you doing up to that point in your life, and what were you intending to be before you got into that tournament?
I was studying at the university arts and culture sciences. Yeah, I'm from like a creative background family.
Excellent.
Yeah, but I'm not creative at all. I cannot draw or whatever, and I'm not a historic art lover or anything.
Is Japan your favorite place to fight?
Japan and America, it's very hard to choose. I love both countries for a different reason, you know. Like when I go to Japan, it feels the people are so polite and nice. But actually in America too, because when you're from the Netherlands, everyone is nice and polite. So to me, it's always like, oh, that's so nice. But in America, it's like the bigness of the country and the possibilities that people see, and there's a certain vibe. And for instance, I was training with Eric Aiken, wrestling in Kansas. And the way he just taught me wrestling, you know, his openness to teach me, that was so great on a high school with all the little boys who threw me around the dojo. And then in Japan, it's all about, you know, just look around. The people are it's so polite, and because I really care about them. And everything's perfect, you know, the way they organize this event. You saw the opening, it's perfect.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You can't beat that.
Yeah.
What do you anticipate in your next 2 or 3 fights with Invicta? What would you like to have happen?
I know they have a 145 belt, and I want that belt. It's quite
Trophies
simple.
are always nice.
Yeah, I want to have the Invicta belt.
Yeah, anything you want to say to your fans for the new year?
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. Thanks.
Thank you too. Oes.
Oes.